All right. Welcome back, everyone. My name is Dave. This is the Radical Independent. Thanks for tuning in today. Back with us is James Roguski, probably one of the world's foremost researchers these days. James, you've got breaking news for us today. Is that correct?
I do, and I'm going to get right into it. After 2.5 months of doing FOIA requests and nagging people, for whatever reason, the WHO finally got around to making public the collection of proposed amendments to the international health regulations that were supposed to be submitted by September 30th. All of the nations of the world were told to, hey, you want to change the international health regulations? Send in your ideas, okay? And so they've just recently published. Essentially, what I've been doing for 2.5 months is I go to their website 3, 4, 5 times a day and see if they put it up, because that's how they roll. They put up a web page, and then months later they go, oh, okay, here's this document, right? And they dropped some stuff the Friday after Thanksgiving, and it's Christmas time now, so now's the time to do all the horrible stuff that nobody's really paying attention to. And it's astonishing, okay? And I'm going to try to not lead the witness here because Dave has not seen this yet, and we're going to do a little first reaction to what this is. But first, let me give you some background, and I'm going to share the existing international health regulations. All right, now to the audience, please don't fall asleep. I know this is coma-inducing stuff, but hopefully, Dave, you can see the orange and green and blue international health regulations.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is an 84-page document, and the first page is a whole bunch of nothing. Then what they do,
84 pages? Is that what you just said?
84 pages, all kinds of stuff. It's wrongly named. It should be the International Surveillance Regulations, okay? A lot of stuff in the beginning, a lot of words that they define, a lot of terms. That's something we could talk about at some point, okay? You can see right here, one of the first articles is about surveillance, right? These things really should be called the International Surveillance Regulations. So Article 1, I'll make this a little bit bigger. Article 1 is all definitions. Article 2 is purpose and scope, okay? Now, I had never heard of these things prior to this year, okay? And, this is from 2005. I've been unaware for decades, so I'm not surprised that everybody else is unaware. So the purpose and scope of the international health regulations, okay? Purpose and scope is to prevent, protect against, control, and provide a public health response to the international spread of disease in ways that are commensurate with and restricted to public health risks, and which avoid unnecessary interference with international traffic and trade. Now, most people don't know that the whole point of these regulations is to not do lockdowns and to not mess with people's lives and everything else, okay? So you scroll down a little bit to, a little too much, principles. Hopefully you can see Article 3, principles.
Yes.
Okay. The implementation of these regulations shall be with the full respect for the dignity, human rights, and fundamental freedoms of persons.
Sounds good.
Does the libertarian in you have a beef with that?
So far, so good, James.
Okay. The implementation of these regulations shall be guided by the Charter of the United Nations and the Constitution of the World Health Organization. That's a lot of reading. There's a bunch of documents there.
Yeah.
The implementation shall be guided by the goal of their universal application for the protection of all people from the international spread of disease. Okay, right? States have, in accordance with the Charter of the United Nations and the principles of international law, the sovereign right to legislate and to implement legislation in pursuance of their health policies. Got a problem with that, Dave?
Looks a little sketchy right there.
In doing so, they should uphold the purpose of these regulations. Well, the purpose of these regulations is to avoid unnecessary interference with international traffic and trade.
Yeah. Right. Initially, that was the first line. Yeah.
Okay. So now we're going to do the big reveal with Dave's first impression, first reaction of what we're going to show you, Dave.
Yeah. So I guess I'm gonna click on that link that you sent me, and I'm gonna take a look at it.
And don't screen share it because we want to see you, and then we'll show what it is later. Right?
Okay.
So you should be going to
stoptheamendments.com. Yep.
Okay. Now,
All
if you
right.
scroll down just a little bit.
Right. Hold on here, because scrolling down past where it talks about the proposed amendments.
It's pretty much right at the top.
Oh, it's right at the top. Okay. All right. So
tell me what you're looking at off on the side there.
All right. Well, there's something that says permanent power grab.
Okay.
Proposed amendments, and then the link, and then a QR code, and then proposed changes. Here we go. Should I read this?
Sure.
All right. The implementation of these regulations shall be, and then it's crossed out, with full respect for they crossed out the part where it says full respect for the dignity, human rights, and fundamental freedoms of persons. They got rid of that, but then it says based on the principles.
Keep going. I'm sorry. No, all right. Keep going. I'm sorry.
Based on the principles of equity, inclusivity, coherence, and in accordance with their common but differentiated responsibilities of the state parties, taking into consideration their social and economic development. So they crossed out the part about respect for, in which you read, respect for dignity, human rights, and fundamental freedoms of persons. So that's gone.
Do you think you need to read the remaining 46 pages of all of the amendments?
Based on that first line, they get rid of the idea that individuals have any rights and freedoms. I would say probably not, James.
And no respect for your dignity.
Yeah, dignity, right? It's
so if you could share on the screen so now people can see what we're talking about, and then we'll talk about it.
All right, so let me do that. Hold on here. Share screen. All right, so here we go. All right, so this is the line right here that it's just, I mean, it's like you've got the best part of this was this, and now that is no longer. So that's a little troublesome, James.
So, months ago, when I first fell down this rabbit hole, and I read the international health regulations as they stand right now. Okay. It's 84 pages. The first 20 pages are a bunch of nothing. The last 10 pages are a bunch of nothing. So maybe there's, 50 or 60 pages of, substantial regulations. Much of it's boring, but, I started out with, core principles, full respect for the dignity and human rights and fundamental freedoms of persons. I would have squabbled about the word persons. Okay. I would have said people, but, I'm like, all right, but here's what's going on, Dave. And I think you already got it. This is all anybody needs really to read on 46 pages of changes to international law. They're just crossing out respect for your dignity, your human rights, and the fundamental freedoms of persons. I mean, blatant, in your face. This, this is a gift from God. Okay, it comes through Satan, but it's a gift from God, because if this is not obvious enough to wake people up, then there's no hope of them waking up. I mean, they are blatantly saying that they have different priorities, and that priority is equity. Now, Dave, have you ever had a financial person on the show, somebody who talks about money and, all that kind of thing?
A little, here and there, probably a while back, but not recently. But I think I know where you're going with this.
Any financial person hears the word equity, they go, "Oh, that's money." It's like, I bought a house,
equity.
I paid off the mortgage, I fixed it up a little bit, put some sweat equity into it. Equity is money, right? And this is just a big attempt to transfer money from all around the world to the pharmaceutical hospital emergency industrial complex, PHEIC. So people, let's just have you and me talk now, because that's the heart of the matter. There's many other aspects going on here. One of the things that if people know how to, when they go online and read a document and they search for a word, like you can read a document, there'll be a little search bar.
Right.
The word shall shows up 263 times in this 46-page document. Now, that legally, that means you have to. Okay. And so that word shall is applied to various entities and groups. So it might be that the word shall says, well, the WHO has to do a certain something. It might be that the member nations have to do something. They also break it down into a phrase that they do not define. They use the phrase developed nations shall do things,
Yeah.
and developing nations shall do things. And so it's basically a document that is doing what they said they were going to do, which is changing the global health architecture.
Yeah.
Okay. The current structure of what's going on in the international health regulations, it mostly falls under Article 23 of the WHO Constitution. The WHO can make recommendations, and we may follow them if we want to. They want to change may or should to shall 263 times. Now, argue all you want. To me, that's the theft of someone's sovereignty. If I say, hey, Dave, you may do something, okay? Or you must do something, or you shall do something.
Yeah, it's a stronger, it's like a commandment, basically.
It's legally binding, and that's what they have clear. So they have clearly stated that they want to amend the international health regulations, change the global architecture, and turn recommendations into orders.
Right.
Okay. And so if you all are okay with being slaves for the rest of your lives, then, have a nice day. You can stop watching. Okay. Go to sleep, because that's coming. That's what this is. This is how they plan to initially implement world government.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be democratic. It's not going to be a republic. It's not going to have respect for your rights. It's authoritarian, and it's headed towards totalitarianism. I wouldn't necessarily call it communism. I wouldn't call it anything other than they want total control. And the reason I've been watching and waiting for this is I knew the structure of the international health regulations. And one of the things in the article is a wonderful woman, I'll just say Mrs. H from the UK, has already dug into this and collected all that she can find in this 46-page document. I think it ended up being like an 8-page document. So, a good 20% of what's going on in here is setting up a digital global health certificate. Okay. And so, most people, have one of these. Okay.
Yep.
And I think the last time we talked about, the fact that, this could have a nice little QR code on it.
Right.
Here's what I believe they're hoping to set up. In the United States, because we don't have nationalized public health care, okay? Oh man, our data is just a mess. It's a hodgepodge of all the many different companies that have your health data, government agencies, state agencies, all over the place. And there are laws governing that, and it makes it so that there has not ever been a universal national database in the United States. Other nations, most of them have nationalized healthcare. So, all the data funnels into one system. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, in order for travel, to occur, if you're halfway on the other side of the planet and you've got health information, back in Florida or back in California or wherever, there's an amendment. I'm pretty sure it's number 4. You have a right to privacy in your person and in your papers and effects and everything else.
Are you talking about? You're talking about the Constitution, James.
I'm talking about the Constitution. Yeah,
okay.
I'm sorry. I should have specified. I do need to be specified. You have a right to privacy. Okay. And so giving access through a QR code to your private health records is what they want.
Yes.
They want us to give up that inalienable right. Well, no one's allowed to take away your unalienable rights, but you can be dumb enough to give them up. Okay, you can give up your freedoms if you so choose, and they're trying to trick everybody into doing that. And so what they're trying to build is, one of their fancy words is interoperability, right? All these nations have all these different systems. They have a big old, guidebook. It's kind of like a white paper is not really the right word, but it's like spec sheets. Like, hey, here's how we're setting up our system, and every nation has to agree to be able to interconnect, right? So that everybody's health data can go through this system and go onto the barcode. Now, it doesn't have to be on your cell phone. That gives them many, many, many other options. In nations, don't think that you're going to hide from this because you don't have a cell phone or you're not going to get one. They'll put the barcode on your driver's license. They'll put the barcode on your ID card. They'll put the barcode on, back in the day, it would have been on your Blockbuster card, right? Whatever card you have, they can put this barcode on it to access your health status, right? And you're not going to be able to live your life. Now, Dave, you're a little bit religious, or maybe a lot,
Yeah.
Neither one of us.
Yeah, I would consider myself, a fairly
connected.
Yeah, I would say
you
so.
have faith. You have faith. Okay,
right.
as do I. Well, I'm not a Bible scholar, and this might be a stretch. Okay, but if you hold up your phone and there's a QR code on there, right?
Yeah.
Or you have a card and you hold it up and you go like that. Isn't that holding the mark of the beast on your hand?
Well, okay. I'm you know what? I'm waiting for somebody just to say that this is, we're, theologically, people keep saying, well, what happened a couple of years ago, that's not really the mark. And, but James, I'm hearing about people over in, European countries who are doing little implants that are going in their hands. Sure. And so they can do this instead of, because that plastic is really inconvenient, taking out the plastic and sliding that through or whatever. That's rough. But hey, I've got a chip now, and people laugh and they make fun of all this stuff. I'm going, we're speeding, we're hurtling down this road. And for anybody to kind of go, well, you had me. I was listening to James Roguski, made a lot of sense, and then now he's talking about the mark of the beast.
Well, here's the point. Okay, you've seen facial recognition in use some places. Oh, yeah. Iris scans.
Yep.
To determine fingerprints.
Yep.
Okay. Have you ever gone to somebody who would read the lines in your palm?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look up Amazon. They have palm recognition.
Oh.
Okay. Now, you look at your hand and you go, yeah, you know what? I'm going to be pretty sure that absolutely nobody on the planet has my hand.
Right.
Okay. So all you have to do is that at some point. That's the interface. Okay. The system, the beast system, is having all of the data for everybody all over the world be interoperable. So that when the whatever it is you scan, whether it's at the checkout counter or going into your doctor's office or getting on a plane or a train or a bus or whatever, they need to be able to access the entire world of data. And so I saw it coming because I knew that the international surveillance regulations, which is what I call them, Article 5 is all about surveillance. That's what this document was originally designed to do. The technology has just caught up where they can take a database of everybody and connect it all so that whatever little port you're dealing with, it's a checkout counter or getting on a bus or whatever, it's all interconnected. Okay. And so the international health regulations and the amendments that have just been published are on stoptheamendments.com.
Yep.
I get it that people want the soundbite. Okay. So the soundbite is what you read. It's
Yeah.
like, well, we used to have respect for your dignity, human rights, and freedoms, but with the digital stroke of the pen, using the
Mhm.
strike through feature on your text editor,
Yeah.
your rights, your freedoms, your dignity is gone. If turn this off right now and go back and sit on your couch and have some bonbons and say, well, whatever.
Yeah.
Somebody else will fix that for me. Okay. Now is the time, to enjoy the holiday Christmas season for sure. But it'd be great if you share this video and share the link to stoptheamendments.com, because otherwise they're planning on implementing a system that takes away every nation's sovereignty. There are 263 shalls,
Mm.
SHALL.
Yeah.
You got to do this, and 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 you got to do this.
Yeah, there's the other punchline to this, or headline would be, yet they're trying to set up the beast system here. I think a lot of people who pay attention, like you said, religious people, people who have been following all of this sort of wacky, crazy prophecy stuff coming true that was predicted years ago. I mean, unfortunately, I've been sucked into watching a lot of this stuff, James, because it's really compelling. And then now you've got hard data here. You've got an actual proposal which says, "Hey, you shall follow our system." This should wake some people up. This should wake some people who, may be a little bit more complacent, but for the most part have said, "Well, this won't affect me." I think this will affect every human being on planet Earth if they move forward and people, like you say, just sit on their couch and do nothing.
And it's not just, oh, we're the United States and the Senate will never approve this or whatever. You need to understand that the international health regulations are something that we have already signed on to really back in 1969, but
Yeah.
then they amended them in 2005, and in 2007 we said, yeah, okay, right? So it's an existing body of law, international law, and part of it is built into it is that, well, if amendments are proposed and the World Health Assembly, 194 nations get together and vote, and a simple majority, so half of the 194 is 97 plus 1, 98.
Yeah.
If 98 nations say, okay, fine, right, the law is amended. Okay. And boom, your local government, young global leaders that have been implanted in your city council, in your county commissioner's office, in your state government, and, Congress and everywhere else, you can bet your bottom dollar they've got legislation ready to go to do all of the shalls that they just agreed that our nation is going to agree to do. Now, there's a way out of that, because any individual nation can just say, no thanks, right? You can literally just write a letter. Secretary of State or the president could just write a letter after this would be adopted and go, well, but not for us. Thank you. We appreciate your offer of, total domination, but we're going to pass. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. But then we're all stuck in the United States, right? I just talked to somebody yesterday. Long story short, person that he wanted to travel with is unable to get into the United States without getting jabbed. As a U.S. citizen, you can come back into the country jabbed or unjabbed, but as a foreigner, unless you just walk across the border and take a bus to wherever they take you, if you want to know what your destination is by taking a flight, you've got to show proof of vaccine status to get into the United States. So, anybody outside the United States who wants to fly here or travel here, some way, is already dealing with essentially being jailed. They're not free to move. Forget about free to move about the cabin. You're not going to be free to move about anywhere.
Right.
Okay. And so if you turn that around the other way and the rest of the world adopts this global digital global health certificate, the United States is maybe the best place to be imprisoned, but that's what it would be.
Yeah.
And if the United States is as crazy as everybody else, or if the young global leaders that are in all of the government agencies, you think lockdown was bad, over the past 3 years?
Yeah.
They're trying to make all of the data into, nobody has data on my health stuff because I haven't been to a doctor or a hospital since I was 19. So I don't
Nice.
exist. I don't exist in their system.
Nice.
I don't have any of that stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
But everybody else does. And
Right.
so now is the time to realize that it's sink or swim.
Yeah.
Uh, so here we go. Here's the routine, Dave. You know the routine.
Yeah.
My phone number is 310-619-3055. I'm that serious. This is that serious. If I don't do everything I can, then I have to live with myself and say, oh, this all happened because I just ignored it. Right.
Yeah.
Now, everybody can do whatever it is they can do. But the least of which you can do is, read through the information on stoptheamendments.com and share it as widely as you possibly can. Share this video.
Yeah.
Try to wake people up.
Right.
Hopefully, this is a gift from God, passed on through the satanic forces at the WHO to give you one last chance to wake up. Oh, look at this, slash out dignity, human rights, and freedom. You're okay with that? Wow. I have faith in my fellow men and women that the people in America, the people in your audience for sure, are not going to be okay with that. That is not acceptable. And now's the time to fight back.
Yeah. Amen to all of that, James. So again, James again gives his phone number, and obviously you want to check out James over at Substack, jamesroguski.substack.com. You can read this for yourself and just scratch your head and wonder, the most important things they just crossed out, and we're all sitting here going, you know what? Big violation of the Fourth Amendment, like you said. That's the Fourth Amendment to our Constitution. And more importantly, James, it's just they're always trying to sneak something.
Dave, yeah, I just thought of something. Can you share the screen again and go to stoptheamendments.com?
Yeah, I think I'm still here. I'm still here. All right.
Okay. So I'm trying to make this as easy as possible as I can for people. So if you just go up to the top so people will see where they land, and all the way up there.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm going.
So
there it is.
That's the article. If you scroll down, you'll see that it's a draft. Okay, so hopefully as soon as this video comes up, I'll be adding this video here. Scroll down a little bit more and just keep it going on a nice slow scroll.
Okay. You know what? For some reason, I can't do the slow scroll here. Hold on. Yeah, it's just going quicker. All right. So,
it's a long article.
Too far?
It's a long article. No, keep going down. A couple more videos. Scroll down a little bit more. Okay, take action. Take action.
All right.
Trying to make this easy. All right. Share this far and wide. First action is, read the darn thing. The second action, if we can go through this, Dave, this would be absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
There's 3 separate ways that you can email and call Congress. Okay. Don't do it right now. Don't do it right now. But when people click on that button, it'll take them to a company called Align Act. And you know what? Go ahead and click on it, and it should work. Should be able to see it, and then we'll just come right back. When people then click on, scroll down a little bit more, there should be a little red button down below that says "Take action now." Right.
Yep.
And so we won't go any further than that. Click on that if you could, and we'll show people what this is. It makes it very easy. You fill in your contact information, and it will send an email to every single congressperson and senator. Okay?
Wow.
You can back it up and go back out.
Right.
Then it will also actually give you all of their phone numbers. Now, this one does the same thing. Go back up. This one does the same thing, 2B. It's just a different message. This one is
2B. You're 3A.
3A tells Congress, the letter tells Congress, hey, what's going on with these negotiations? Really, the answer to this is to leave the WHO, exit the WHO. So if you scroll down to the next one, that letter says, hey, we should leave the WHO.
Mhm.
Okay. The third letter, you can send to anybody. The
Yeah.
text is right here. The
Right.
previous letters are all in the can. They're all pre-written. You just push the button, makes it really easy.
That's
This
very
one,
easy.
you can use this as a template, and you can say whatever the heck you want to say. Right now, my attitude. Keep going down. We got some pretty faces that we want to look at here.
Mhm.
Colin McGiff is one of the delegates to the WHO from the United States. For all I know, he's the most wonderful human being on the planet. I have not had a chance. I mean that sincerely as a
Might be. Yeah.
good,
Okay.
okay. I don't think he yet is aware of the outlook or the attitude or the opinion of the American people. He forgot to do the poll to let everyone know, or ask everyone's opinion so that we could let him know
Mhm.
what we want.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you scroll down a little bit more,
Yeah.
I encourage everybody to get on Twitter, and
Oh,
don't
there
go
he
too
is.
fast. Don't go too fast. Go up a little bit more.
All right.
Um,
Sorry.
that's we're not doxing anybody here. That is his official. I got that from a government website. That's his government email address and his government phone number.
Mhm.
So call him up, tell him, as a good believer in God, how much you love him and you're praying for him to do the right thing.
There you
Okay.
go.
But then tell him what the right thing is in your opinion.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Let him know beyond any shadow of a doubt what the right thing to do is. Okay. Scroll down
Mhm.
a little more.
Yeah.
Got another pretty face.
Yeah.
Lawrence Oglethorpe Gostin. It's got a 52-page curriculum vitae resume. Okay.
Wow.
Fine, upstanding man in society, if you're all for totalitarian control of your life. Okay. Scroll down a little bit more.
Yes. Wow.
He's a professor, and again, this information is just his public information. I wrote him a nice, friendly letter. He didn't reply to me.
Friendly, open, and urgent letter.
I did 16 days ago. He didn't bother to call me back.
47 comments. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
And the whole group is there. There's his info right there. Go ahead, back
all
up
right.
a little bit.
Oh, back up. Okay. Hold on.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Yeah.
Reach out on Twitter. That's easy. You got an email to him.
Yeah.
He's a professor at Georgetown.
Georgetown. Yeah. Okay.
Again,
Explains a lot.
be kind and loving, and show respect, and respect for his dignity, his human rights, his fundamental freedoms. He has every right to have his opinion, but he just forgot to ask you for yours.
Right. Right.
So show him some love. And I
Mhm.
mean that sincerely. I'm snarky sometimes and I'm sarcastic. Okay.
Mhm.
But Dave, I'm gonna say something. You're gonna know what this means. It's code between you and I. Lead with love.
Like,
Lead. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. You
no,
know where that comes. You
yeah.
know where that comes from, and it's sunk into
It's a
my
it's
being.
a Tulsi-ism. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now here's what I'm asking everyone to do. Go back up a little bit to that other previous
Okay.
box. Okay. This is a dense document. Okay.
Mhm.
And so as I'm going through it, I'm putting comments in a nice salmon colored box, call it
Yeah.
pink if you want. Okay.
Yeah.
And so as people scroll down, you'll get to see my opinion and others' opinions. This is coming from Mrs. H in the UK.
Yeah.
She dug through and found that Articles 23, don't go too far.
Too far.
Articles 23, 31, 35, 36, 44, and also Annexes 6 and 8, and maybe some others if we find them. This is where they talk about the health certificates. Okay.
Okay.
So,
Yep.
that's where the rubber's going to meet the road. Right. So thank you, Mrs. H, for all of that. If you scroll down some more, Dave, you'll get into the highlights. I'm working on some of the highlights, but the main one is the word is up at the top. The
Shall.
word "shall" appears in the document 263 times.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's really about things like developed countries. That's weird English. Anyways,
Yeah.
developed countries, states, parties shall
Mm.
provide financial and technical assistance to the developing countries, states, parties, in order to ensure state-of-the-art facilities in developing countries, states, parties, rich nations, poor nations, okay?
Yeah. Sounds like,
Including,
yeah.
go ahead.
No, it sounds like maybe they're helping out with quarantine camps or something. But anyway, go ahead.
Including through international financial mechanism as envisaged in Article 44A. So
Yeah.
Let's hang here for just a second.
Sure.
Wealthy nations must help poor nations.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hey, that's a real Christian
It
outlook.
is. Yeah.
That's a real Christian outlook. But I don't think that's what they mean.
Probably
Okay?
not.
What I think they mean is build more pharmaceutical manufacturing plants and force people to take more drugs and get more shots, because those poor people in those other nations haven't been doing what we want them to do. And so maybe if we corrupt them on the ground in their nation and force them to do this, okay? Oh yeah, we'll give you the money, or we'll loan you the money, or whatever. You know, the nations that are wealthy and have gotten 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those things that we don't say on YouTube.
Correct.
There's not enough of that going on in the poorer nations.
Yeah.
And so let's give them the money so that they can do damage to themselves.
Yeah. I mean, hey, we just need to continue to let them know that it's super safe and super effective. And if we do it, 1,000 times, and we have, great advertising promotions and people on the ground, like you say, I'm sure they can work their so-called magic on the rest of the developing world. James, that's what looks like what they're doing there. So,
okay. And so if I can ask people, as you do the slow, leisurely scroll to go through the whole darn thing,
this goes on for quite some time. My scroll bar is like 1/3 down the page. So this is going to be, this might kind of stretch us time-wise here, James. So we might have people just go here and go through these themselves.
As you do a slow, leisurely scroll, I'll do the talk over. This is, a big document. There will be people who want to get into the weeds and they want to, deal with all of the details, and that does need to be done. Mm-hmm. And so what my request for people is, number one, read enough so that you feel that you have been able to understand what this is. Don't speak from a place of not knowing, okay? You don't have to take my word for it. I don't do speculation. I do, hey, here's a document, shine some light on it, look at it. Thank you, Dave, for, giving it a platform.
Yeah.
Everyone, in my opinion, should take the time to read as much as they care to read on this thing. I'm putting comments, as you see, and other people are putting comments, their opinions on the various articles.
Yeah.
If any of the viewers or readers put a comment in the comment section, I'm going to do everything I can to include your comments into the actual article so that whoever comes in after you will be able to see what you had to say. Okay. And I'm also asking everybody to be the media, meaning, right here, Dave, you stopped right at the spot, Article 3. Yeah. When I read this, I got the document. I'm starting to read the document. I got to Article 3, and in all seriousness, I went,
right.
And then I had sort of a self-aware moment. I'm like, Jim, your mouth's hanging open. You got to be, and then it registered what a gift this is. Thank you, God, for making Satan be so blatant, right?
Yeah. Like, wow. Here's the beast. And if you're going to pretend that this isn't happening, because this is what I get a lot, like, oh, no, come on, it couldn't be this bad. I mean, James, this is it. This is it. This is what they're, I mean, it had to happen somehow. I mean, if you believe in sort of the end times and how that's supposed to progress, this is how they're trying to do it.
I'll put it this way. To translate it from Bible language to everyday language, this is the end of the good times.
Yeah.
Okay. No more respect for your dignity, human rights, and freedoms. Okay.
Right.
This is if this were to be allowed to be implemented, clearly anyone, regardless of, any atheist would say, well, looks like the party's over, right? The folks in Geneva are taking over, and they're making us do whatever the heck they want to make us do. That's the end of the good times.
Right.
Some trials and tribulations may be ahead.
Mm-hmm.
You can talk about this in English that doesn't invoke the Bible. You could just look at this and go, what
Correct.
in the world are they trying to do?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So, let's leave that there. I'm asking everybody to read as much as you care to read so that you can speak intelligently and knowledgeably and from an informed place. Um, and post up a video and put the link in the chat, and I'll do everything I can to allow your voice to be heard. Okay, because they're not listening, they're not having public comment or anything like that. And so I'll do it one more time. Go to stoptheamendments.com, jamesroguski.substack.com, and give me a call, 310-619-3055.
James Roguski, as always, thank you so much, and thanks for all the work you're doing on this, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you, Dave.